Hello everybody, welcome back to the Gaming Corner Podcast. I'm Josiah.
I'm Landon.
And I'm Jonathan.
And yeah, we're back here on the Gaming Corner Podcast again for a 7th time. I'm so sorry you've had to endure with us for this amount of time, but we're very thankful that you've been with us. Landon, we were actually just talking about classic games and retro games. Landon, what kind of retro games and classic games have you been playing lately?
Not much, but if you call Plants vs. Zombies for Xbox 360 retro, I've been playing that.
Plants vs. Zombies retro. I definitely like all the Plants vs. Zombies games. I didn't play many of them when I was younger, but I played a few of them a bit more recently since I don't know if they were delisted from the App Store. I know Angry Birds was delisted from the App Store. Without further ado, let's get into the games that we've been playing and our latest gaming pickups. Lately, I've gotten GoldenEye 007. I've been playing it for the Nintendo 64 and the Xbox Series S. This is one of my favorite shooters of all time. I've played it on the Nintendo 64 online expansion pack app for the Switch. I don't know why I said it like that, but I've been playing GoldenEye quite a bit, and I'm so happy to finally have it in my collection. Me and Landon were actually just playing it a bit ago. I've also been playing a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES, which is a very underrated game. A lot of people say that this is one of the worst NES games of all time, but I really beg to differ. This is such a good game. I would so encourage anybody and everybody to play this game because a lot of people really downplay it, but it's a really good game. Next, I've also been playing a lot of the Atari 2600, specifically like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man. I really had to play these games a bit more since I'm going to be doing a review on them on Retro Rewind for Season 2. Spoiler alert, but that's really all that I've been playing. So Landon, what have you been playing lately? Been
playing Forza Horizon 4 and 5, Farming Simulator 22, Party Animals for Xbox, and Halo Infinite.
Now, can you tell us, I've played a little bit of Forza Horizons 5. How far have you actually gotten into that game?
It's not really how far I've gotten into it, it's more how I've played it. I've gotten probably 200 cars.
That's insane.
Maybe 100 races or so. I'm on about level 40.
Oh, sweet. Whenever I play Forza, I mainly just do the random driving, the world exploration. I always go up a hill and then I see how far I can go down, launch it into the air from some random rock. That's always
I have done that too. Whenever I play Forza, that's what I do. Even though I don't have an Xbox.
Yeah, Forza is definitely a very good game. It's a really nice graphical showcase of what the Xbox can do, and especially what PC can do. Same thing
Indeed.
For Forza Horizons 4, which is definitely a much easier game for a computer to run. But when you come down to them, they're about the same game, just with a few big differences that I couldn't tell you because I don't play the Xbox very much. Then you've been playing a lot of Farming Simulator. I know my cousin plays that quite a bit. So, can you run me through what Farming Simulator is like other than farming?
It's just farming, Josiah. That's it.
I got that, Jonathan, but what else?
I don't really farm in it. I kind of just buy the cars and just drive around.
So it's Forza.
That's a good one.
So you said Party Animals, so what's Party Animals? I've actually never heard of that game.
It's kind of like Fall Guys, but...
Okay.
It's try to stay alive the longest, and either you or your team wins.
Okay.
Trying not to get thrown off a bridge.
Okay.
Or,
so it's a party...
Yeah,
it's a battle royale game,
pick
almost.
people up and throw them. And
That
them.
So
is dope.
So it's a mix between Fall Guys and the multiplayer in New Super Mario Bros. Wii that everybody hated. Okay.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you said you've been playing a lot of Halo Infinite. I've definitely been playing a little bit of the original Halo. As I told you before, I have the original file on my PC at the moment. I've played a little bit of Halo Infinite. Do you think it deserves the hate that it gets?
No, because even if you I don't know why people hate it so much, but it's really a great game. Everything looks amazing in it. The graphics are amazing. It runs well. I don't know why people hate it so much. It's a fun game.
Absolutely. Halo is really a series that I'm really close to. Well, I wouldn't say very, very close to, but it's a series that I definitely really like, and it's a really great first-person shooter. If I had to choose a first-person shooter, it would either be GoldenEye and Halo, but Halo was really close up to GoldenEye, as GoldenEye is one of my favorite shooters of all time.
Mainly, I've just been playing Asphalt 9 Legends and Super Animal Royale. I haven't been playing a lot of games. What I have been doing, mainly today, was fixing the joystick on my Nintendo Switch Lite.
What happened?
I had to take it apart. I honestly don't know. It just stopped clicking in, and then the joystick eventually came out.
Oof.
It still worked, but I had to replace it. So now it's fixed, and yeah, it's all cool. That's it.
That's it.
Super Animal Royale and Asphalt 9 Legends. That's kind of it.
Now
I can't talk.
I have a big question about Super Animal Royale. I've heard you talk about it a lot, but I've never heard you go into extreme detail. What is Super Animal Royale? I guess I'm asking.
It is Fortnite but from an overhead perspective,
Okay, so like a third person kind of
with
perspective. Okay.
it's much more for children, I guess I should say.
Okay. So it's a bit more of like a kiddie version of like Fortnite or something. Which, let's be clear, I don't like Fortnite at all. Fortnite is one of those games that it's hyped up too much, but like there's nothing to live up to that hype. It's just not, in my personal
I feel like, in my
it's not
personal
very
opinion, I don't have an opinion because I've never played Fortnite, so I don't know.
I played it once and I got bored and I burnt my Nintendo Switch.
You burnt your Nintendo Switch.
That is not a
That's
topic.
fun.
That is not a topic we're going to go into. Moving on from that, let's move into our GCP topic of the day: emulation. So, gentlemen, do you know what emulation is?
Yeah.
No.
No. Jonathan
I'm
does.
kidding, I do.
Okay.
I'm kidding,
I was about to say, Jonathan
I
doesn't know
sort
what
of.
emulation is. Okay.
Can you give me a basic explanation of what emulation is real quick for the people who don't understand?
Absolutely. So emulation, okay, it's basically getting something to run on something different. So let's say like you wanted an NES game to run on your Wii U, or a Wii U game to run on your Nintendo Switch. To do that, you would have to use emulation to get it to run on a different platform. This is mainly used in the spectrum of like Nintendo Switch Online, where you have the NES, SNES, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, 64, all those different systems. They play those games on these systems through emulation. It's making a virtual NES inside of your Nintendo Switch. And same thing for like Xbox on Xbox Game Pass, how you have 360 games and Xbox games, OG Xbox games. It's playing them through emulation. Now, many companies officially use emulation, so like what we just talked about, but also collections like, for instance, like what I have, the Mega Man Legacy collection on Nintendo Switch, where they have all those NES games and they have them available to play on those platforms, along with Super Mario 3D All-Stars, how they have that, how they have Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine as emulated games, just with like a bit of a graphical showcase. I don't want to say more of a graphical showcase, but they're more lightened up and they have a bit more enhancements, I guess is what the word I was going for is. Many companies use emulation, but what we're mainly focusing on today is
The illegal side of emulation.
well, that's
Not really.
It's not illegal. It's the ways not
How
piracy,
dare you.
but it's the ways emulation can be used in an illegal fashion, I guess I should say.
I see.
I guess I should say.
So basically the illegal side of emulation?
Yeah, which we'll definitely be getting into, but first of all, let's talk about the pros of emulation. First of all, emulation really helps in the preservation side of gaming. Like, you wouldn't be able to play most of the games like Doshin the Giant on GameCube or any of the Virtual Boy games, the Satellaview SNES games, if it weren't for emulation and preservation, because Nintendo is never, ever going to release Doshin the Giant to the public, or Virtual Boy games, or the Satellaview games. They're not going to release that.
Yeah.
They have no point in doing that. And that's what fans and emulation are for, to do that. Emulation also has enhanced experiences, so like allowing improved graphics, higher resolutions, and smoother frame rates. So like Project 64 and the Dolphin emulator for like GameCube and Wii has like widescreen, 60 frames a second, 4K, etc. It's so much that you can do with an emulator that you can't do on the basic systems. There are so many great videos on emulation and ways to enhance videos. Like one of the first ones that comes to mind is Anton Retro's video on Mario Kart Wii and getting that to run on Dolphin and like enhancing it to like 60 frames a second, 4K. You have texture packs so you can make it look better. That was something that I worked on with my copy of Ocarina of Time. I was doing a project on enhancing video games and I chose GoldenEye. I keep saying GoldenEye. I chose Ocarina of Time and
That's dope.
I got a really high, I got like an A on my project, not an A+. I don't know why. That teacher
No!
I know.
That's sad. That's just plain sad.
it is
Josiah.
very-
I'm sorry.
It is very
I'm
sad.
sorry for you.
Thank you. So, emulation can definitely be done well in a very, I don't want to say like a restrictive environment, but emulation is definitely a great thing. Another big thing is it includes a lot of accessibility. So like bringing older titles to new generations of gamers who probably don't have like the original hardware. So like Game Boy games, you're really gonna have to pay a lot of money to get a Game Boy. It's a lot easier for emulation because with emulation you can play Game Boy games on like a bigger screen. You can actually make them playable. There's so many different things that you can do with this, including like different input types. Like you can use like an Xbox controller on a Nintendo game, or you can use a keyboard and mouse for a Wii game if you're a psychopath. That's definitely a big thing. Like, you can definitely use all different types of inputs. Like, you could probably play Mario 64 with just a keyboard and mouse. You definitely could.
Yeah.
I've played, it's not a ROM hack, but it was a remaster of Mario 64 called Mario 64 Plus. It's a really nice enhancement onto Mario 64, so like it puts it in, I don't know if it does 4K, but it's in widescreen, it's in 60 frames a second. It is such a nice improvement on the original Nintendo 64 original game, and it really makes the most of what made the game great in the first place. Let's get into Jonathan's favorite thing and my least favorite thing, the cons.
The illegal part.
The cons of emulation. Now.
Oh, sorry.
Well, yeah. Well, that has to do with this. Our first thing is actually piracy. This is one of the biggest concerns with emulation. Is it legal? And for emulation, it's in a legal gray area, if I wanted to say that. It all depends on how you do it. So, like an example of an illegal way of doing emulation is downloading ROMs from the internet without the original company's permission. So like going onto like a random website and downloading like Super Mario Brothers 3 and like having like the Nintendo ninjas show up to your house. So you gotta like shoot them with like Nintendo zappers and like go bang bang and zap zap, and like the Virtual Boy comes out. You get the power glove, you do like the Thanos snap, and they all disappear. That's gonna be my next movie. Don't quote me on that, but that's my next movie. That's really the biggest thing with emulation. Like if you don't own the game and you don't dump the game yourself, it's considered illegal and piracy, which I can definitely see why. Because if the original company doesn't give you permission to do this, they have the right to sue you. They have the right to take down what you've done. They have the right to do all this stuff. Another thing is just compatibility issues. Like emulating unique hardware architectures can result in like glitches and performance problems. So like inputs like won't match up with like the original setup or layout, or like games with like touchscreens. So like the Nintendo DS, the 3DS, the Switch, those won't work properly with this design setup. So like, let's see, like games like Mario 64 DS, how that had like a touchscreen interface, it's definitely going to be a lot harder to play it on an emulator. Another thing is just the ethical dilemmas. Like I know so many people who say, oh, you beat this game without the original hardware, that doesn't count, it isn't pure, is what they say. And I definitely see why they say that, because like playing Mario Brothers with a keyboard or playing Duck Hunt on a Mac, that's just sinful. Right. That's just sinful, man.
It's just a sin.
It's a sin. Yeah, that's really just the biggest thing. If you really want to learn how to emulate properly, that's what I'm here for. Hi, I'm Josiah. Here's my card. Let's move on to the navigating emulation, like how to do this legally, okay? First of all, I just want you guys to know, emulators are legal. Creating and using emulators is generally legal, but it all comes down to what the system is that you're emulating. So like a legal example of this is RetroArch. RetroArch is an emulator. It's not an emulator itself. It's an emulator forwarder, I guess I should say. It houses all your ROMs. It houses all your emulators in one place. So all you got to do is at a click of a button, like let's say. Like, look, I just opened RetroArch at the moment. It's an emulator houser, so I have all these different games that I can play, but I don't have my hard drive in at the moment. So, like, I own, let's say, New Super Mario Brothers, which I just did. I'm going to be talking to Landon about giving him a copy because he found his DS. So, I can click Run, and then it's going to give me a Core, which is your emulator. I will choose Melon DS. That is an emulator, okay? And now you can play it, okay? It's as simple as that. But the biggest thing is you have to own the game that you're emulating. You have to own the game that you're dumping.
Okay. Which kind of removes the purpose of emulating in the first place.
Well, emulation is more so for convenience of it. Like, why would I have to bust out all these old systems when I can just play them right off my computer? I already own the files. I already own that. And emulation is really for convenience and for playing games off of the computer. That's really one of the biggest things with emulation, and that's a reason that I play all these games on here, because it's more convenient than busting out the N64 or the NES, SNES, Genesis. It's a lot easier than busting all that out when I can just plug in a USB controller and play all the games that I already own. I've actually dumped every single one of my games, at least my disc games, onto my computer and they run nice. Like I said, for the Wii, Dolphin is the greatest emulator you can ever use. But like I said, there are problems with illegal downloading. So, like, for example, playing copyrighted games without permission is definitely illegal. Though a few exceptions exist, such as, like I said, dumping your own files to a computer. But downloading files from the internet is illegal. It is illegal. You can't do it. You're not supposed to.
Yeah, it is illegal.
Now, a few examples of this is like Gary Bowser from Team Executor, who was selling ROMs illegally and was fined $14.5 million. I know Landon was telling me about.
Hey, that's dope.
Landon,
Just kidding.
Landon
Not
was
really.
Landon was actually telling me a bit more about that earlier. He actually brought that to my attention. I had never heard of this guy. So if you want to actually go into a bit more detail about this, Landon, that'd be great.
From what I heard about him on one of my podcasts, is that he wasn't even the head of the operation, and he got fined all of it. And yeah, that's about all I knew about it. Where I heard it from, it didn't mention a lot about it.
Now,
Okay.
I have a similar story to that. I forget if it was Super Mario Galaxy DS or something like that. I don't think it had to do with emulation, but it had to do with using the company's IPs and the rights to all of it. I guess somebody went to jail for using Mario in the Mario Galaxy DS thing, which really wasn't legal, but it was just a fan project. I don't believe they were making any money off of it, so it really wouldn't have mattered if they did or didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah. After that, James Burt, who was fined $1.6 million for leaking New Super Mario Bros. Wii a week before release. The story...
Can you imagine just being fined that much money?
Yeah, I mean, well, here's an even bigger thing. Could you imagine being Nintendo, and a week before your game comes out, you're
True.
seeing the game file on websites all over? Now,
Yeah.
the story behind this is Target had accidentally gotten the game in early, and they accidentally put it on the shelves, okay? Which was not
That's fun.
illegal. And Mr. Burt found the file, or he found the game in stores. He bought it, and as the first person to play
Yeah.
Mario Wii, the story is either he was pressured into uploading the files, or he did it on command. But either way, the files were online. He was fined, and I don't know if he was put in jail or something like that. But he's actually not allowed to talk about the topic at all. He's under like NDAs and contracts and stuff. So
Speaking of jail, though, on to our next one. Ariane Kurtage. He leaked GTA 6 and was sentenced to indefinite jail time. Yay!
Yay! For somebody who doesn't play GTA but knows how big the GTA community is, that is definitely something that Rockstar had so many problems with. It was definitely a big deal for them, and it's definitely going to be a big deal for video games moving forward, especially with leaking emulation. I feel like emulation is definitely like a double-edged sword. It gives a lot of benefits, but it also gives a lot of cons. Like a lot of pros, a lot of cons to the gaming community, and it's, if used properly, it's really good. But if it's not, it can really get you into legal trouble. So
Right.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that you can do to do emulation properly. First of all, dump your own games. If you don't know how to do that, there are so many YouTube videos, so many things showing you how to do all that. So like I said, I've dumped all my DS games, all my Wii games, my Wii U games. I dumped all my Sega CD games, my 3DS games, PS1, 2, and 3 games. It's not that hard to dump a game. You can find a tutorial on it somewhere.
Well, Josiah, knowing all this, I can definitely say that I know a bit more about emulation
Well, that's great.
than I
to
did
hear.
before.
That's great to hear, Jonathan.
Great.
Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go pirate Mario 3. Now that we got that out of the way, I'm Josiah,
I'm Landon.
And I'm Jonathan.
and this
Is
Gaming Corner.